Catherine.
Hey,
How are you today?
not too bad. Pretty good.
That's good. Glad to hear your day was all right. Let's recap from last week. We were discussing your difficult relationship with your father and how you have a hard time getting him to listen and understand you. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't listen to anything I say, and he's impossible to reason with.
That must be hard to deal with. Last week we decided to have you try to not let what he says and does bother you. How did that go?
Not very good. It's just so frustrating. He never lets me do anything.
Okay, let's continue to talk about your relationship with your father. It's clearly still very important. Could you tell me more?
Yeah, a couple days ago I asked to go to this concert, and he wouldn't let me. He said I wasn't working hard enough in school, and I wasn't allowed to go. How dumb is that?
That's very frustrating to deal with. Has that happened before?
Yeah, he's very overprotective with me and boys, too. He always thinks they're going to get in the way of my grades, and my grades are going to drop.
Wow, so it's a very frequent occurrence that he doesn't let you go out places then.
Yeah, it's all the time.
You must care a lot about your academics. Have your grades always mattered to him?
I guess so. He always insists I work harder. I think he wants to make sure that I end up with a better job than he did.
A better job?
Well, he dropped out of high school when he was my age, and we've been struggling financially for a couple of years now. He doesn't make very much money.
Okay, so far I get the idea that your father is very strict because he wants to ensure you work hard in school and get a job that will financially support your family in the future. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But it doesn't give him reason to be so temperamental.
How is he temperamental? Could you elaborate?
Well, sometimes when I get a bad grade, he yells and yells. Sometimes he throws things.
Sounds like he is very violent very quickly. Has it always been like this?
Well, when I was little, he was still very strict and firm about my grades and school. But since high school started, it's gotten worse.
So he's been violent and angry for a while?
Yeah, ever since I can remember.
Do you have any siblings?
Nope, it's just me.
Wow, that must have been, and probably still is, a lot of pressure to put on your very young shoulders.
It's pretty scarring.
Has he ever been violent in ways besides throwing?
Well, yesterday,
Catherine, what happened yesterday?
yesterday my mother burned dinner, and he just got so violent. I've just never seen him that mad before.
Violent?
He threw a pan across the kitchen and it dented the wall. But
He threw the
Then-
pan? What happened next, Catherine?
he went to hit my mom. But then I jumped in the way to protect her.
Wow, that must have been so hard to deal with, Catherine. You're very brave. It sounds to me like your father becomes violent and aggressive very quickly. I can see that you have some fear towards him, but it's also very clear that you love and care for your mom very much.
Yeah, that's right. My mom is my best friend. I don't see how she could put up with a monster like my father.
How does your parents' relationship make you feel?
I don't know. Frustrated? I wish my mom knew how much better she would be without him. If she would just let me talk some sense into her, you know? It just hurts me to see her make her so hurt like this. What if I wasn't there to jump in the way?
You feel like your mother would be better without him. Why is that?
He's just so controlling. She doesn't get to be who she is when she's around him. It's all because of him. Like, I don't understand. Who could hit a woman?
Violence is very hard to deal with, and he sounds like he's very hard to deal with. Why do you think your mother is still with him?
She's probably just doing what's best for me.
What's best for you?
Well, she grew up with divorced parents. I think it made her upcoming very rough. It seems like she never grew up with any love around her.
Living with divorced parents could be very hard. So you feel like she is trying to protect you from the broken childhood she had? Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right. But if only she could see that all the love I receive is from her. We would be so good, by ourselves, just her and I.
Have you tried talking to your mother about this?
Well, I try, but it never works. I don't know how to make her listen.
Okay, so far in this interview we've reviewed how your father continues to be difficult to talk to. And recently he's exhibited some very aggressive and violent behavior, specifically towards your mom. You feel frustrated and unsure how to get through to your mom about the fear and anger you feel towards your father. I can see that this is very hard for you to deal with because your mother means a lot to you. But I also see that it isn't easy for you to talk about. It must be a very uncomfortable topic. Is that right?
Yeah, that seems about right. I mean, it's just a lot to deal with all the time, so.
I agree. It sounds very stressful. What helps you handle it?
Well, listening to music helps. It really helps me tune him out.
That's a great start. What other things come to mind?
I find when I'm out of the house, I think about it less. But leaving the house usually leads to a fight about my study habits.
I can imagine it would be difficult. If you feel like being out of the house, I'm sure going on regular walks and runs could really help clear your head. And maybe if your father tries to pick a fight with you about leaving the house instead of studying, you could go to a public library or a school library instead. I think that would be a good medium for you and your father to reach.
Yeah, I think that could be worth a shot.
Great, I'm glad you're willing to give it a try. We've made so much progress today. Until next session, I want you to try and get out of the house more. Listen to music when you're frustrated. And let's say you brainstorm some ideas, different ways you can address your mother about the situation.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Great, I'll see you next week. Thanks, Catherine.
Bye.